It's hard to know where to start with supplements and who to trust, but AG1 makes it so much easier. AG1 gives you increased energy and mood support, making it easy to live your best life. If you're looking for an easier way to make and take supplements, well, just to take supplements, you're not making them. They're making them for you. You're taking them. Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/IDKAT. That's Athletic Greens at IDKAT. Check it out.
Good.
Yeah, I forgot the name of our show for a bit. The sun, the moon. Which one has man stood on? Neither. It's a conspiracy theorist. Theory. Not even a theorist. The theorist is like talking about us not doing it. Good morning. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the I Don't Know About That.
Frame.
What's that? It doesn't matter. No one watches this.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the I Don't Know About That podcast. I'm Jim Jeffries. My special is out. Thank you, everyone, for who is write nice messages and all that type of stuff. I appreciate that. I'm here with Forrest Shaw. How are you?
I'm good. You're about to go to England.
Kelly Bear.
Hello.
Jack Hackett.
Ooh.
And Sean
Marquette.
I was going to say your name, but I always say Marquez.
Oh.
It's Marquette.
Yeah.
It's actually, Marquette's a made-up name. It's Rodriguez.
What? I didn't know you were one of them.
So you really are more Marquez than Marquette.
Did you change that for acting reasons so that you would get more work? I bet you wish you could change it back now.
Yeah, we had that conversation. Yes, we did.
My wife's stage name is Tazy Lawrence, but her real name is Tazy Danraj, and she changed it because she thought Danraj wouldn't get her any acting work, and now I'm like, let's get that. I'm thinking of taking on her name.
You're gonna hyphenate yours?
Yeah. Jim Danraj Jeffries. Hey, there we go. I've got a bit of something.
That would work.
Bit of flavour to me.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. Very, very nice.
Very nice. You just got back from your casino gigs in the East.
Well, those both sold out. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
They did. We haven't actually done the gigs yet, but I'm gonna theorise that they went okay.
Yeah.
People showed up. You had a good laugh. I put a bit of effort in. Are you going to be there?
Yeah.
Forrest put effort in.
Yeah.
Aren't you nearby
JJ.
where the Goldbergs is set?
Penn Salem, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania,
Close.
but
Close.
they,
Outside of Philly.
They live in Jenkintown. Jenkintown.
Yeah.
The Jenkintown posse.
My roommate in college was from
ATP.
Jenkintown, so that's why. Yeah.
Because Sean is off the Goldbergs. I actually saw one of the guys, the short one from the Jenkintown posse, and I did yell out, JTP.
Yes.
I did, and he just sort of looked at me, okay, mate.
Yeah,
you
right,
know, all right, like that. But you deal with it. That's what fame is.
Yeah.
Get a catchphrase.
Anyways, you're about to go on tour in England.
Give them what they want.
England, Scotland, Ireland.
On the give them what they want tour. Give them what they want. Give them what they want.
I forgot that.
Yeah, they give them what they want tour.
And then Europe, and then a bunch of other stuff. Go to
We're going all over the UK. We're going crazy on the UK and on Europe. And the UK dates are all but sold out. There's been some added shows. There's been a show added in Manchester and a show added in London. But there's a few tickets at the other gigs. But I think there's Brighton's completely sold out, and Cardiff is completely sold out.
You had a show in Warsaw, Poland. So the first one sold out?
I don't know what happened there. The first one didn't sell out, but they're optimistic, the Poles. So,
Okay.
I've got so many Polish jokes
I'll
that
talk
they
to my
want
family.
They want to hear them all. I'm like, I'll just like if the show's half full, I'll just be like, oh, you all bought tickets, but you were too dumb to come. Polish people. That's the thing.
You didn't know that. That's an American thing.
American things. We do.
Yeah.
The rest of the world does the Irish.
Yeah, the rest of the world makes fun of the Irish, but in America growing up, I remember we would make fun of Polish people for being stupid in the Truly Tasteless Joke Book.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you get into a Polish submarine?
Through the fly screen.
The screen door, yeah.
Yeah, through the fly
See,
screen.
it's even different. Fly screen.
Fly screen.
Yeah, the old Polish Marine.
Bloody
That's all
Polish
I remember.
people.
All right.
Let's start the podcast.
Well, go to IDCap podcast.
Go to
on
IDK.
Instagram.
Come and go see the Patreon. The Patreon. We did a whole Patreon with Sean. He was wonderful, great laugher. Had a whole lot of stories. If you want to hear some gossip about the Goldbergs.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, he knows it all.
He dishes it.
He knows every bit that's going on down at the Goldbergs.
Yeah, so that's at patreon.com/IDCat, and our Instagram's at IDCat Podcast.
Johnny Atkins, man.
Ads.
Before the diet.
Ads.
Our next partner is Athletic Greens. I take AG1 in the morning before I start my day, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something good for my body and giving me the nutrition it craves. Plus, it actually tastes good. I don't feel like I have to choke it down like other things I take in the
Guess
morning.
what? You like it so much, even though it's made in New Zealand.
Is it? Well, it's look. Sometimes look. You guys gave me a big packet of it. I've been taking it.
It's so good.
My skin
It really
is
tastes good.
better than it's ever been. No, I've been taking it a lot. I feel really good. And it's made in New Zealand. New Zealand, if you've been there, it's one of the greenest places you'll ever be to. So if that's where I'd get my Athletic Greens
where you get your stuff from.
New Zealand. It's hard to know where to start with supplements and who to trust, but AG1 makes it so much easier. Very quickly, I noticed it helped me with sleep and with energy. I came back from 2 months on tour, back to proper sleep schedule right away. AG1. Why take a bunch of different things? I don't. Just take the one. When you can just mix one scoop of powder into water once a day. AG1 was designed to with ease in mind, so you can live healthier and better without having to do a lot. It's the healthiest thing you can do in under a minute. You try doing push-ups for a minute, or sit-ups, or running. Not as healthy as doing this. AG1 is powerful because it's easy to fit into your lifestyle. It's just one scoop of powder mixed with water once a day. AG1 has been part of millions of mornings since 2010. AG1 gives you increased energy and mood support, making it easy to live your best life. If you're looking for an easy way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/IDKAT. That's IDACAT. That's athleticgreens/IDKAT. IDACAT. Check it out.
Athleticgreens.com/IDCat. Can you just do that one last line again?
Athleticgreens.com/IDACAT. Check it out.
Please welcome our guest, Dr. Chris Lancaster.
G'day, Dr. Chris. Now it's time to play.
Yes, no.
Yes, no.
Yes, no. Yes, no. Judging a book by its cover.
All right, Dr. Chris, if I could get the camera angle back on him. There we go. Hello, mate. Okay, so
Hello.
are you an Anglophile, Chris?
A bit.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. Are we talking about the Premier League?
No,
No.
Oh, that's a good idea, but no.
Oh,
not even close.
make a note. I'd like to talk about. Okay, so you got snooker. Are we talking about snooker?
Nothing in that room that I can see is going to help you. unless there's
Oh,
something
okay. Are you a doctor, Chris, or are you like a medical doctor, or are you one of these ones that you have a doctor of philosophy or something like that?
Medical doctor.
Medical doctor. Okay, so we're talking about the human body.
Well,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
That's how that works.
Yeah. No, but it might be. Okay. We're talking about a part of the human body, not a virus. Like we're talking about an appendage.
No, really, we're talking about the whole body.
Oh, the whole body. Are we talking about COVID?
No.
I should do that. People haven't heard enough about that.
I'm sure you've experienced this before.
Oh, when your muscles are so tight from working out in the morning.
Yeah, he gets
He's a
that every
doctor of
day.
that. Yeah, he's a doctor of that.
Is it hemorrhoids?
I've experienced it 9 or 10 times. I think Forrest.
I was thinking maybe 6 or 7 now that I think about
Are we
it.
talking about anal sex?
Okay.
Yeah, that's my specialty.
Nailed it.
I would.
Dr.
This is
Two-Hole.
something that would be done to you for it to have something else done to you.
Oh, so we're talking about sleeping pills for anal sex.
Very close, but not the anal sex.
Oh, anesthesia.
Anesthesia. There you go.
Anesthesia.
Dr. Christopher Lancaster, MD, attended medical school at New York Medical College, and Dr. Lancaster is also board certified in 4 specialty areas of anesthesia. He trained for these at pediatrics at Valley Children's Hospital, CA, and pediatric ICU and anesthesia and pediatric anesthesia at Johns Hopkins, Baltimore. He currently works for USAP Florida, that's United States Anesthesia Partners, in Orlando, Florida, as a pediatric cardiac anesthesiologist. So thanks for being here, Dr. Lancaster.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
How do you get into anesthesia? Is that something you've always wanted to do, or is that when you were a kid? Or
I actually went into pediatrics out of medical school. I was going to be a pediatrician, but I quickly learned that, or discovered that office-based practice wasn't probably for me. So I looked for another specialty, and I went into pediatric intensive care and almost kind of fell into the anesthesia by accident. They called me up and said, we have a combined program in ICU and anesthesia if you're interested. I said, okay, I'll do that. So it was almost by accident.
Why does America have pediatricians and other countries don't? I remember watching an episode of Friends where Ross goes to his pediatrician, and I couldn't understand the episode. And now that I have kids and I live in America, we have a pediatrician for the children. And
maybe the question is, why don't other countries have
Yeah,
that?
it makes
it's
sense
just
to have
people
them
are
now.
people, right? Are little people different? Are they that different?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I would think
Ask the
so.
doctor.
I don't know.
They've got different developmental milestones you would want somebody to be an expert in.
No, they're just little adults.
Yeah, I have the same doctor that I had since I was born in Australia.
No,
Oh, he might be dead. I don't know.
Completely
It's
different.
been a long time.
Yeah. You're saying
Completely different for kids and adults.
Yeah, just the height chart though. like, can you treat a dwarf the same as a child? Is that the same medical thing? Is it just height based? No, I'm joking,
no.
everyone. I'm joking.
I don't have the answer anyway.
I would like support from my people who are on the podcast. I don't need a laugh, just a smile or something. Just don't leave me with my balls hanging out as I say the word dwarf and then just go, no.
It's waiting for the answer. All right, Dr. Lancaster, I'm going to ask Jim a series of questions about anesthesia, and at the end of that, you're going to grade him on his answers 0 through 10, 10 being the best. Kelly's going to grade him on confidence, 0 through 10. I'm going to grade him on et cetera, and we're going to add those together. And 21 through 30, anesthesia. 11 through 20, Johnny Stesia. 0 through 10, Ricky Stesia. I'm tired. I didn't get a lot of sleep. Okay.
Question 1. Spell anesthesia.
You liked them. Actually,
that
is the second question.
Is it really?
I threw that in there this week.
No fucking clue how to
Give it a
spell that
go.
word.
I couldn't do a spelling bee.
Yeah, that was a bonus question. How do you spell anesthesia?
Okay. I've seen it written.
Yep.
Yeah.
A-N S-T Ja. S and S-T-E-I-G-H-E.
Okay.
What the fuck?
What?
A-N-S-T-E-I-G-H-E. Anesthesia.
You got 0 points so far. What is what is anesthesia, and what does the word mean?
I didn't even know it was okay. Anesthesia is when you get anesthetized.
You can't use the word in the definition.
Yeah, is when they put gas over your face, right? And that knocks you out so that they can perform surgery on you.
Do you know what the word means?
To sleep.
Okay.
To sleep in measured amounts.
This accent's weird. All right. When did anesthesia start being used, and by whom?
Well, the invention of the hammer was the first anesthesia. That was the first bit, and that was used by, I'll say, Jesus.
Okay, I was going to say by whom and what was his profession. So Jesus.
Carpenter. Carpenter, small cult leader.
What was the first?
I just have Sean on all the time. I'm a lot funnier than normal.
Dr. Lancaster, we have a guest in the studio.
He's an easy laugh.
Yeah.
Sean and I are crying.
What was the
Yeah, there's some good energy there.
what was first used as surgical anesthesia? Like what was you said hammers? That's your answer.
No,
right?
that was me fun answer.
Okay.
My
Not for
real
one.
answer was whatever killed Michael Jackson. That stuff.
All right. Who should not go under anesthesia?
Michael Jackson.
That's the answer.
Michael Jackson. He shouldn't have gone through it. At least that last time.
Okay.
I'll say people. Kanye West's mum. She was another one. Didn't enjoy the process. She
Wait
was
for the
just,
hate comments on
she
that.
was just,
Okay. Instead of naming people that
she
died
was just
from it,
getting a bit of lipo.
instead of naming people who's at risk, let's say.
People with their blocked noses, because then you wouldn't know. And then I'm going to say people with respiratory problems.
How long does general anesthesia last?
As long as they want you to last for, depending on the surgery. Some surgeries, Forrest, if you've watched the ER, these surgeries take 24 hours. There's doctors sleeping in the corner and shit like that. You have to keep topping it up. And then other surgeries, like my vasectomy, was all done in about 15 minutes. So I had a short anesthesia.
Who administers anesthesia?
It was a girl called Sally. that day.
What's the name of a person?
An anesthesiologist.
Okay. How common is it to wake up during surgery?
Too common. One time is enough. You don't want to, that must be hell. You wake up, they're cutting into you.
So it's pretty common?
No, I don't think it's very common. I think it's 1 in 500.
1 in 500. What is the mortality rate?
That would be 1 in a million.
1 in a million, okay. Can you breathe on your own under anesthesia?
Yes.
Okay. Why can't you eat before anesthesia?
Because you could vomit and choke on your vomit. Also, if they're doing stomach surgery, they don't want to find food.
Yep. What are the 4 types of anesthesia?
Sleepy, dozy,
That's what your doctor said? I'm giving you sleepy anesthesia?
wakey uppy.
Wake you up, eh?
No, there'd be local.
Local?
Local's just local anesthesia.
I love when you get...
You got excited about that one.
I got an answer.
It's like it fucking came to me local.
Local anesthesia can just be an injection
So there's 4
that
types.
numbs a thing.
Yeah, local's one.
General, which is what you do for the military.
Yeah.
And then there would be casual
Casual.
and Fridays.
Fridays. Risks. We already talked about. We'll talk about that. So, what does what is the difference between anesthesia and sleep? Like, what does anesthesia do? Like you said, it just puts you to sleep, but what's the difference between that and sleep?
Anesthesia not only puts you to sleep, but it also knocks out your nerve system, so you can't feel pain.
So that's the difference between that and sleep?
Well, yeah, if you were sleeping and someone got a scalpel out and cut you in the stomach, you'd wake up and go, that's no good. But it takes away the pain as well. So it numbs and knocks you out. And sleep is just... Okay, if you had anesthesia and you were at a rock concert, you wouldn't wake up. But if you were sleeping, you would.
Yeah.
Solid sleep.
Who delivered the first baby with anesthesia?
It would have been a woman.
Any idea who it was?
Oh, you mean doctor?
Person, yeah.
I'm gonna go. That would have been L. Ron Hubbard.
Okay.
Dr. L. Ron Hubbard.
No, it was a woman. It was a prominent woman in history.
Oh, Mrs. L. Ron Hubbard. No, a prominent woman in history. Geez, there's only a few to pick from. There'd be Marilyn Monroe then.
Differences? What are the differences between anesthesia for children and adults?
You give less to children and more to adults. See, I remember there was I watched the Andre the Giant documentary, and they just couldn't figure out how much anesthesia to give him without killing him, because the guy used to drink 4 bottles of vodka to get drunk. So they were like, we don't know, we'll give him 4 times the regular amount. So they weigh you. They give. I've got a cup of. I've been knocked out twice. Hemorrhoid surgery.
Yeah.
I told you that story. I was going under, and the nurse, just as I went under, went, "My boyfriend's your biggest," and then I went under, and I was in, I was in turmoil the whole time, because I was like, "She's gonna fucking talk about my asshole when she gets home," and then I got knocked out recently for my vasectomy, and they're the only 2 times I've been knocked out.
Who was Jon Snow? And that refers, I'm assuming, to anesthesia, because I don't know the answer to this.
Well, I know Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game
it's
of
not.
Thrones.
It's not Game of Thrones.
No.
Jon Snow. He would have been the man who invented the practical use for anesthesia.
Okay. Why don't we use general anesthesia for deliveries anymore?
It probably wouldn't be good for the baby. You'd probably have more stillborn babies than you want. Not that you want any, but just more than you'd like.
Okay, and here's a couple more questions. What is fentanyl?
Fentanyl. Oh, I know. Fentanyl is a opiate. It's from the heroin family, which is an opiate, and it's used for pain and is meant to be for cancer patients and stuff like that. But people in the Midwest use it for a snack.
Okay. Okay. This says name one celebrity that died from it. Bonus points.
I didn't write that.
February. I know some non-celebrities.
Well, let's stick to the celebrities.
I've heard of some non-celebrities. He used to date Ariana Grande.
Well, I know someone really famous. Oh, yeah, he's famous too.
Yeah.
Even more famous than that.
Yeah, Cashy D or whatever his name
Mac
was.
Miller.
Mac Miller. That's the one. Cashy D.
Cashy D.
Mac Miller. He died, and then Pete Davidson swooped in with his big dick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Prince did as well. But
Oh yeah, Prince.
what is
Really?
propofol?
Propofol is the drug that killed Michael Jackson.
Okay, so there you go. That was another bonus points in there.
Yeah.
Are propofol and fentanyl safe for surgery?
If administered correctly, yes.
So they're safe. Okay, so we can. Okay, Dr. Lancaster, how did Jim do on his knowledge of anesthesia? 0 through 10. 10's the best.
He had some solid answers, and he was right on half the stuff. So I'll give him a 5.
All right.
Confidence,
All
Kelly.
right.
It wasn't strong until you realized you knew local. I'll give you a 7.
7,
right.
12. All right, give you a 5. You're Johnny Anesthesia.
Yay.
So what is anesthesia, and what does the word mean?
Good drag name, that anesthesia.
Yeah.
Does it mean to sleep in measured amounts, anesthesia? What does it mean, Dr. Lancaster?
So anesthesia really, the ana means no, and anesthesia means pain. So really, anesthesia is no pain.
Oh,
And-
okay, no pain.
And one of the ways we lessen pain is when patients are having surgery, we put them to sleep. But there are other ways we do it as well. And Jim named some of them, and some of them he didn't name. But so anesthesia, when most people think of it, they think of going to sleep.
Okay, and so that is like the general gist of anesthesia. We're just putting a patient to sleep for surgery.
I'm going to add another one into my 4. Is anesthetic. Antiseptic? Does that mean? What does septic mean?
Like
No,
Infection.
no infection.
No, septic means infection.
No infection.
Yeah, but antiseptic,
Yeah.
like Dettol, or that.
Where are you at? What are you adding this to?
To my 4, the rub on.
Antiseptic.
Rub
is what
on.
you're
That's
talking
antiseptic.
about.
Doesn't change your score.
No septic.
No, those are anti-infective.
Oh.
damn.
Yeah, you just got a point off.
Yeah. So there's my job entails more than just putting patients to sleep. There's other parts of it. First part, I have to make sure patients are ready for surgery. I have to review their background, review their history, see what medications they're on, so I can come up with a plan to prescribe the right medicine for anesthesia. And it's not a one size fits all kind of situation. There's different anesthesia for different surgeries, and there's different types of medicine combinations for different patients. So that's the first step. And then the second step, if it's a surgery, we would put them to sleep and then wake them up, obviously, at the end, recovery, and then some sort of follow-up afterwards.
And do you wake them up with another chemical, or do they just naturally wake up because the anesthesia's timed?
Typically, all the medications are temporary. And they would be bad medications if they were permanent. So all the medications are temporary. So basically what we do at the end of a surgery is turn them off and the patient wakes up.
Do you ever, I'm not saying you look at them naked or anything like that, but with the body, do you ever do anything fun, like wave at people? Do you ever just,
You take their hand and
yeah,
wave?
take their hand away, but you ever just walked right past their face and fart and then giggle to yourself?
I mean, at some point, body parts is body parts, especially when the patient's asleep and you're focused on a job. Yes, I see naked people every day, But I might have an awake baby in my hands, holding the baby, taking him to the operating room, and I might make the baby wave or something like that. No, we don't write on asleep patients.
My baby had a small hernia. My eldest boy, when he was a baby, and he had anesthesia. And when I came and I saw him in afterwards, and we were waiting next to the bed for him for him to wake up, I felt it was really sad. There was nothing sadder than a baby just sort of passed out from anesthesia. I didn't like the look of it.
I haven't had, same thing with pets. I mean, it's different than kids I know, but whenever I've picked up an animal from they're all drugged out, I'm always like, oh.
No, I felt terrible for farting in his face.
That's a very common thing that parents tell me.
Yeah,
they sometimes will come back with us while we're putting the kids to sleep, and then a lot of times to get a very emotional response from the mother or the father. And
they put the little oxygen on the face.
What is it you're crying about? And the mother said, I think that's what he would look like if he was dead. And I was like, oh wow. Oh,
that's the same reason I was cheering. No, I'm kidding.
You didn't spell it correctly, right, Jim?
I don't know. I didn't.
He was so close.
I mean, I could tell you how to spell it, but I don't think it's going to stick. So Anestthesia.
H?
And what did I say?
You said Anesteigahe.
I reckon if you put that into your phone right now, it'll autocorrect. I reckon I was close. I reckon I was close enough.
I don't.
Yeah, actually, let's find out. I don't think it.
That means I'm in the ballroom.
That sounded like the Irish spelling to me.
It actually autocorrects to a struggle.
Okay.
That was perfect.
Wait, did you say it's the Irish spelling? Or you're making a joke? Okay, sorry.
I'm making a joke. Okay. Sorry.
No. Go ahead and do that. I thought he actually got it.
Just off the topic, how cool is that? Your room in your house, or are you at a pub?
No, it's a little pub room we made in our house.
That's fucking, I'm telling you what, man, that's banging, that room.
That's cool.
Anyone would love to have that room. That's fantastic. The stained glass windows like an Irish pub, the English Premier League stuff, the Chelsea side. Who's your Premier League team?
Chelsea.
Yeah, I thought you might be. I support Fulham.
Oh, that's nice.
And I support Fulham because I couldn't afford to go to Chelsea. Because not a lot of people know that Chelsea and Fulham are basically the same suburb. They're right on top of each other. It's it's nothing. It's like Sherman Oaks and Studio City are playing each other.
Yeah.
I lived in London in 1989, and that's before they had the Premier League. And I got to go to a bunch of Chelsea games because they were shit, and the tickets were dirt cheap.
Yeah. Same.
So that became my team.
Yeah, they came around. My father was there in the '60s, and same thing. He supported Chelsea because they were cheap.
When did anesthesia start being used? By whom? What was his profession? Was it Jesus? Was it a hammer? Was it the carpenter? I'm thinking not.
Yeah, I don't know about Jesus, but they've been using opium and hashish and alcohol for as long as those things have existed. But the first official demonstration in a public place of anesthesia was in Boston in 1846, and a guy named William Morton. And he did it in Mass General Hospital in this place called the Ether Dome, and he anesthetized a patient with ether. And he was a dentist, and they did a dental procedure.
And what year did you say that was?
1846.
Oh, okay. So what happened before that? No surgeries before 1846?
You never seen a Western? They drink some stuff and bite on a piece of leather.
Yeah. So Civil War era, that's literally what they would do. They had some opium, and they had some laudanum, which is basically a form of opium, and they had alcohol, and they would put a stick or a bullet in between their teeth, and they would just and the surgeons were renowned for their speed and how quickly they could do an amputation. So I could take off a leg in 12 seconds. So the patient didn't have to suffer.
That's what they had on their billboards. 12 seconds or your money back.
And surgery was like a spectator sport back then, wasn't it? Like it was like an actual dome where audiences would come in street clothes. Like everybody's just wearing shit off the street.
I still find it weird that there's seats you can watch surgery.
Well, you called it the Ether Dome, so I thought you were just kidding. It was actual place people watched?
Yeah, they didn't wear masks. They didn't wash their hands. They were clueless, but... Yeah, they all sat around in top hats and gentlemen's suits, and they watched the surgery being done.
Did he stumble across using ether, or was someone else say this stuff might work, and then he gave it a go.
Yeah, there's reports of people using it before this guy did it. And he tried to do it once before in a public space, and the ether didn't work, and the patient never went to sleep, so he was really embarrassed. So he wanted to go back and prove that he could do it, so he did it the second time, and it worked.
He must have tried it out on himself, like a la the Hulk or any of those like origin stories where he must have, if no one's going to do it, he'll put the mask on his face.
What was first?
Also, my answer was correct because Jesus is God and God created everything.
So what was first?
I think it was a caveman with a rock.
Korag.
Korag.
Korag, the anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
So what was first used as surgical anesthesia? That's the same answer, the ether, or is that?
Yeah, that was the first publicly displayed one.
And who should not go under anesthesia besides Michael Jackson, Kanye's mom?
That was a great answer.
Yeah.
You got extra points for that one.
It's correct.
Yeah, he said people with blocked noses and respiratory problems is what Jim said. So.
Okay, so the answer is it depends on the urgency of the surgery. There are some surgeries where we can't wait. Emergency surgeries, we can't really choose who's going to have anesthesia, who's not. We have to go. And we have to have ways to deal with that. And that's where the mortality is really high because we're not properly able to prepare anybody for the surgery, and they're at very high risk because of what's going on. But in general, we don't do elective surgery on pregnant women unless there's an absolute medical reason. We don't do elective surgery on newborn babies because we're worried about it affecting their brain development. All that's never been proven and that's never been shown.
But what if a newborn baby wants new tits?
I was literally just thinking I'm so glad
like, it must have come up once.
And then we don't do, if somebody's too sick for their procedure or has a new medical problem that we didn't know about, then we would postpone it until we deal with those issues.
Does anyone
and we cancel surgeries all the time because of that?
Do people ever shit themselves underneath it? Like if you've got the runs and then you go do it, or because I found after both times I did it, I was a bit backed up. Is that a thing?
Yeah, so babies do, and kids do, and some people with bowel problems do. But in general, if you're going in, you're having your nose job done or something, it's probably not going to happen.
I imagine if you came back from your nose job. How did it go, doctor? It went all right for you. The rest of us, we have to clean our smocks or whatever they call them. Our scrubs.
Scrubs. Scrubs.
How long does general anesthesia last? Jim said as long as they want. Some surgeries take 24 hours. Yeah.
It's spot on there, as long as we want. Yeah. I've been involved with surgeries where I've been in the operating room / operating theater all day, and gone home, got a good night's sleep, come back, and the surgery's still going. I take over again. So there are some surgeries that are just so long.
Do you ever come back from a surgery like that and go, oh, fuck, they had dentists. There's bloody shit everywhere. Do you ever do that? Or go, I've been asleep for 8 hours and you cunts have done nothing. That's 4 stitches. Do I have to be here all the time?
A little bit of both, I think. The thing about what has Dennis done here with all of his shit, that's for sure.
I think there's really somebody named Dennis.
Well, when you're in the pediatric anesthesia game, you have to be very detail oriented. So for me, it was sort of my channel for my OCD tendencies. I can pay attention to those details rather than have to worry about washing my hands 17 times a day.
Here's one for you. In surgery, do you ever listen to the radio? I think that would make everyone a bit more calm. I'm not saying music, it's a bit of talk back. Like Rush Limbaugh.
We do listen to music, and we often let the patient choose the music, especially if they're kids. What do you want to listen to while you're going to sleep? I've heard that damn Frozen Let It Go song probably 2,000 times because every little kid wants to listen to it.
Well, this is the thing. So my wife's giving birth, right? And we go in, and she had the epidural and all that sort of stuff. And then the doctor went. They went, what music do you want to listen to? I'm holding her hand, and she goes, PF Twigs or something.
FK.
FK. I still don't know who this Twigs girl is, right? FK Twigs or something
FKA,
like that.
yeah.
And I think I went like this, who's FK Twigs? They go, oh, you want the Beatles or something like that? And then like all the nurses looked at me like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not giving birth. I have no say in the music selection. Just something we could all enjoy. All right, well, listen to the Twigs. And then halfway through the birth, my wife went, can we change the song? Now, I don't want to say that childbirth isn't hard, right? But I've had shits where the last thing on my mind would be changing the music in the room. I'd be in no position. I'm in too much pain to worry about the song. She was thinking of a playlist.
We're back to that. Okay, I don't want to say this thing I said on the podcast before. Who administers anesthesia, anesthesiologists, and what is their role? You talked a little bit about that. Is there anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, there's actually more than just anesthesiologists. At least in this country, we have certified registered nurse anesthetists, CRNA, and we have anesthesia associates. Those are people who work with the physicians, and they can administer anesthesia, and they're trained. They go to graduate school to learn how to do anesthesia, and they have clinical practice as well. And so we work with them in this country. And I don't know if they do that in Australia or England, but that allows us to run more than one room at the same time, where we have a nurse anesthetist who could be in the room, and I could be supervising them and taking care of more than one room.
No, in Australia, we just have the one room. In the whole country. And we get everything done in that. One day you'll be fixing a car in there. And someone will do a bit of surgery. And I'll come in for a dance class in the evening.
Yeah, and they just have a kangaroo come kick you in the head.
Yeah. That's what they do. That's the anesthesia, isn't it?
How common is it to wake up during surgery? Is it 1 in 500? That's what Jim said.
It's not far off. They say it's about 1 in 1,000. And that doesn't just mean, hey, everybody, I'm awake. So there's degrees of that. And any of those degrees would count towards that number. So you might recall hearing a noise, or you might recall somebody moving you or something like that. Most people who have those memories don't have any pain associated with it.
Do you ever chat to them? Because at the times I've gone under, they say count to 100 or whatever it was, or count down from something. And I can vaguely remember counting 3 or 4 digits and then going down. But I assume I counted way more than that, but my memory doesn't until I got to the thing. Has anyone ever said anything very weird to you or interesting, or do you chat to them?
Yeah. I had one lady. She was a young lady, and I was just doing small talk with her.
I killed Kennedy.
I was trying to take her mind off it, and I said, "What do you do? When you're not in the hospital hanging out with us?" And she says, "I do so and so." And I was pushing the medicine at the same time, and she says, "What do you do?" And she goes to sleep. And then we took her did the surgery, took her to the recovery room, and she woke up, and like she hadn't missed a beat. She said, "When you're not in the hospital working," like she picked up right where she left off, which I've never seen before.
Yeah, that's the thing,
weird.
because I always think I'm going to enjoy the anesthesia because you get a bit of sleep and then you don't remember anything. You're like,
But you wake up feeling so well rested.
No, I feel
really
groggy.
I've always really enjoyed it.
I feel after I had the hemorrhoid surgery, they said I had to have a piss or I had a catheter. I had to have a catheter shoved in, and they put the catheter in because I couldn't pass a urine. And I've never begged my penis more for anything. I was like, come on, man. And I need the piss. I said, come on, you got to do this. Otherwise, they're shoving a rod down your hole, dude. Didn't happen.
I've seen it. It's not fun.
No, not fun.
Were you saying something else about when people wake up, some people are in pain? Was that what you were about to say, or is that?
Well, yeah, so a little bit about that. So if you're having a painful surgery, you're going to need pain medicine. Yeah. So the anesthesia itself will decrease the pain or deaden the nerves, as Jim said, while you're under it. But at some point, you're going to wake up, and you're going to need something for the pain when you wake up. That's where we have drugs like narcotics, morphine, fentanyl, Dilaudid, other medications that are for the pain because you need pain. Your body can still respond to pain even if you don't feel it. Your heart rate can go up, your blood pressure can go up. Those things are what we call autonomic processes. Those can happen even if the patient's not feeling any pain. So we have to make sure the blood pressure, the heart rate, all those things are normal throughout the surgery as well. So if you wake up with some narcotics on board, some morphine, if you've ever taken any narcotic pills, codeine or something like that, you know that they can make you sleepy.
Don't you
so
think
if you wake up with those on board, I'm sorry, Jim.
Oh, sorry. No, go on.
You can be more sleepy.
with pain.
And I'm sure that when you had your hemorrhoids, that you had some pain medicine.
Oh no, I was loving. I skipped out of the bloody place. Pain's pointless, isn't it? Pain's. I know what everyone's going to think. Oh, it's our body's way of telling us that something's wrong. But why? Why does it have to be pain? Why can't your finger just twitch and you're going, oh God, got a kidney infection?
Right.
You know what I mean? Well, why can't you ejaculate and you go, oh, it's a heart attack?
Because you'll ignore that.
Yeah, I think it's got to be something extreme enough.
You ignore things all the time. Man.
I think everyone should just have one illness in their life, and that's the one that kills you.
Well, you should write
the
God.
rest of because every time I have every time I have a bad like the influenza, every time I have the flu really badly, and my body's aching, and I've got snot coming out of my face, I always think to myself, how fucking pointless is this? If you're not going to kill me, fuck off.
There are some inputs to your body that are not pain. So like there's something called a spinal reflex where it goes from say you grab a hot pot. Mm-hmm. It goes from your hand to your spine, and your spine says that's bad, and it goes right back to your hand and makes you open your hand and drop the pot.
Right.
Then the signal also goes up to your brain, and then you feel the pain.
Oh, so good.
It works both ways.
I've already dropped the pot. Yeah, I've got to feel the pain as well. I've got fucking boiling water all over my feet.
What is the mortality rate? Is it 1 in a million?
It's about 0.6 per 100,000. That includes all groups, including the really, really high risk groups of older people. People over 70 years old are at high risk. They're about, they can be between 20 and 50.
That's pretty close. That's pretty close.
Yeah, not bad.
So yeah, it's not far off. It's about, pretty close to 1 in a million.
Can you breathe on your own under anesthesia? Jim says yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
It depends on the type of medicines that we give. There are some surgeries where we don't want the patient to breathe, and we breathe for them. And there are some surgeries where it's okay if the patient breathes, and we let them breathe. So the answer is it depends on the situation and what type of anesthesia. So if they're working on your lungs, maybe they don't want you breathing. If they're working on your toe, they probably don't care if you're breathing or not.
Inevitably, you would have had to anesthetize some people who very well might die in surgery. What do you say to them? You might be the last person to talk to them. Do you ever just go, all right, well, good luck?
Yeah, that's a hard conversation to have.
Yeah, it is.
Say to somebody, you are at extremely high risk of having a bad outcome. You are at extremely high risk of dying. I try to be honest. I try to be direct.
What song would you like?
Without using,
Twigs.
I try not to minimize it. But sometimes it does happen. It doesn't happen very often, thankfully. It's very safe to go under anesthesia. I tell patients every day, it's safer to have anesthesia than it was for you to drive here on the freeway.
Does anyone ever wake up and you've had to amputate like a leg or something like that, and then the first words out of their mouth is wrong leg?
Oh man, that's bad.
Yeah.
That happens.
How do you do that?
Hasn't happened to me, but that is bad.
Do you just tie a bow around the toe of the leg that you're meant to do, and then another doctor comes in, fucking Dennis was just in here? I thought it was the one that wasn't had the tie on. No, we all agreed on the tie bow system.
Yes, we have a tie. The surgeon puts his or her initials on the part that they're going to be operating, or a happy face or something that signals it, and then everybody who meets that person says, what side are we operating on? What side are we operating on? Yeah. And then before the patient goes to sleep, we say, what side are we operating on?
That's the good thing.
We do not want what's called wrong side surgery.
That's the good thing about hemorrhoid surgery. No mistakes.
I like that.
Yeah, but I figured you probably drew a happy face on your anus anyway, though, right?
Yeah. Just
I like that. That's a term for it. Wrong side surgery. It's not even technical. It's just like wrong side surgery. Yeah.
It's called a whoopsie surgery.
Yeah. You wake up, you got tits on your back. Wrong side surgery.
All your surgeries involve tits.
Well, look, I've only ever had 2 surgeries myself, but I've paid for a few more.
Why can't you eat before anesthesia? Jim said you can vomit and choke on your food. Is that the correct answer?
Yep, that's right. In your stomach, to help digest the food is hydrochloric acid. If you get food mixed with hydrochloric acid and you throw up and it goes into your lungs, very, very, very bad for lung tissue. So you could literally die from that. So patients take that very lightly sometimes, and they'll be eating in the lobby waiting for their surgery, and we're like, oh, sorry, you got to go home, go back. That's something we stick to, and unless it's an emergency. Now, if it's an emergency, we have ways to deal with that make the patient not vomit. But those are a little more risky, so we don't use those for elective surgeries.
Yeah, you're thirsty.
So
I always remember
those for emergencies.
each time being. I also had my chin done. I've had 3, but I also I had lipo on my chin, bit of fat. That's all I had. That's why I got rid of the jowls one time. Movie star. Oh no, I also got the thing for my teeth. I was anaesthetised for that as well.
Yeah, I picked you up for that.
Yeah, I've been knocked out 4 times.
What are the
woke up with tits on me back?
What are the 4 types of anesthesia? First he said sleepy, dozy, wakey, uppy. Then local, general, casual Fridays. Are those the 4?
Yeah, pretty close. He's local is where you can block the pain in a specific spot. Like if you go to the dentist and they numb your tooth, or if you're going to have your finger worked on and they numb up your finger. And then there's something called regional anesthesia, where if you're going to have your elbow worked on, we can numb up the whole arm, or numb up your whole leg, or numb up your ankle, or whatever. And then there's what we call neuraxial, and that includes epidurals and spinals, where we kind of block the lower half of the body or something like that. And then there's general anesthesia, and there's different degrees of anesthesia. There's anything from sedation, like you might have for a colonoscopy. That's kind of a lighter form of it. And we call that, they used to call it conscious sedation, but we don't call it that anymore because you're not conscious. But we call it monitored anesthesia care, or sometimes twilight sleep. And then there's general anesthesia, where you're all the way out, all the way asleep. You don't hear anything, you don't feel anything. And so that's kind of the range, anything from local to general anesthesia. And then when we do cardiac surgery, we take it even further. We cool them down and we stop their heart and put them on a heart-lung machine so we can operate on their heart, and they're really anesthetized.
Now, can you be anaesthetised too many times? Because there was a talk with Joan Rivers when she died. They said she underwent. This was a rumor. This was just a rumor, but they said that she went under too many plastic surgeries or something like that, and that's why her heart failed or whatever like that. Is there too many, or can I get anaesthetised once a week?
You can get anesthetized once a week. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but there are some patients where we have to take them to the operating room every single day for some problem. And there's no long-term issues that we know that we've ever been proved. I mean, there may be something we don't know about, but right now we don't know of any problems from being anesthetized or anesthetized every day.
Can I be put in a coma, just like to lose weight for like 10 days, like 3 weeks or something like that, and then I wake up and I'm going,
for your next special, you want to do this?
Yeah. Or just to get through my children's childhood, just like 18 years, and like I've got enough money. They'll still pay for the school bills. That'll be a direct debit, right? But I'll just be passed out, and then I wake up and go, "How'd you turn out?" Good.
I had an idea of starting a center for super rich celebrities and detox them under anesthesia and charge them like $100,000. And then, I don't know how to set that up. I'm not a business person, but it seems like a good idea.
Well, I know a bloke, and I don't know if I've already mentioned this on the podcast, but I've been telling a few people this because I only just found this out. I know a bloke who went into a coma in January of 2020, and then he woke up 3 months later at the height of COVID. And he didn't know that COVID was happening, and his wife was standing by the bed in a fucking hazmat suit and everything. It was like The Walking Dead. Bit of fun, isn't it?
I'll tell you, that COVID was no joke. That was probably the scariest time of my life that has to do with medicine, or maybe not to do with medicine. It was frightening to go to work every day. Especially before we had the vaccine. Every day I didn't know, am I going to get the COVID? Am I going to be dead in a week? Like every single day I was scared. I've never had that feeling before.
Mate,
it was very, very, very frightening.
All you people in the front line who went through that, and we watched on the news, you all and you weren't getting the supplies, and you were wearing masks and stuff and gloves from the Mets baseball team. I watched all these, and mate, fucking thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, because you know what I did in COVID? I had a wonderful time. I watched so much TV, and I didn't have to go on the road. It was the most relaxing time of my life, but I always had to remember that other people were going through a living hell during the time, so I appreciate that, mate.
You're welcome. When they first shut down the state, all elective surgeries were canceled. So we weren't really doing a lot of surgeries. A lot of us stayed home because there was nothing to do. So I got a new dog. I learned some philosophy. I took long walks. Those first couple of weeks were great, and then I had to go back to work.
What's the best bit of philosophy you learned in that time?
I listened to this whole history of philosophy course on audiobook, and it went from like the Greeks up through modern day. I don't remember any of it.
It's good you spent that time wisely.
Yeah, definitely.
What is the difference between anesthesia and sleep?
Anesthesia and sleep look the same to someone observing that person, but there's a couple differences. You have some changes in your heart rate and changes in your blood pressure and changes in the strength of your heart under anesthesia. That doesn't happen during sleep. You can't be easily aroused from anesthesia as you can from just a regular sleep. And
so you don't wake up with an erection from anesthesia?
I don't see it very often. It's not common.
Huh.
And you don't have REM.
Sounds like a challenge for Jim.
You don't have REM dreams. You don't typically have dreams during anesthesia. It's just kind of black. You go to sleep, black. You wake up, no time pass. It feels like 30 seconds. Could be 5 hours.
But people dream in comas,
the only exception
don't
to
they?
that is when they. Sorry, Jim.
In a coma, people dream in comas, don't they?
Yeah, if they're under anesthesia for the coma, maybe not, and it depends on what they're under. There are some drugs that we use in anesthesia you can still dream. When they first started testing propofol, it was back in the 1980s. They reported people having erotic dreams, specifically erotic dreams under propofol.
Then you wake up with a boner.
That's possible.
Who delivered the first baby with anesthesia? Jim said Mrs. L. Ron Hubbard.
So I actually screwed up this question. I thought you were asking this question below and somebody reworded it. So the Queen one is the one that I was saying notable.
Oh, the Queen did it, did she?
Well, this question wasn't asked.
That's why she always wears those white gloves.
Okay.
I can summarize both of those. So it was a Scotsman named Simpson. He was an OB doctor, a baby doctor, and he used chloroform. So he was the first one to use chloroform. Jeez. And they delivered the baby with the anesthetized mother under chloroform. And that was a year later than the guy in Boston. So it was 1847. And then the question that Kelly was getting to was about what famous queen had a baby delivered under anesthesia. And that was Queen Victoria.
Point.
But that was a couple years later. She wasn't going to be the first one to try it out.
All right. And differences between anesthesia for children and adults? Is it just you give less to children, more adults? Is it that simple?
Yeah, you do. You give less to children, but based on the size of their
same as alcohol
weight
or cocaine.
and their height and their age, it probably works out to be pretty close. Some ages, and it changes throughout your life. You need less when you're at one age, you need more when you're another age, and it peaks and then it goes back down as you get older again. So it depends on what age you are. And then in children, typically, if we're able to, we would put them to sleep with a mask. So we put the mask on their face, and they breathe some gas, and they go off to sleep. So we don't poke them with an IV while they're awake. We put them to sleep first.
I had the mask once and the IV another time and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So
we don't do that for adults. Adults usually adults will get the IV. And that's because the mask doesn't work very well for adults. They kind of get stuck about halfway asleep. So what we do, everybody who goes to sleep gets a mask, but for adults, it's usually just oxygen. Yeah. And with kids, it's anesthesia gas. So we put them to sleep, and then we put the IV in after they're asleep.
If you can do it every day, why and how did Michael Jackson die?
First of all, they weren't using proper monitoring to monitor his breathing. If you give too much propofol, it can affect your breathing. It can even make your breathing stop. And if you have monitors, you would know that right away, so you could take steps to fix it. And then the real answer is the guy who did it was a cardiologist, not an anesthesiologist. So he had no business messing around with that stuff.
Oh, wow.
And he did it in a non-medical setting without the proper monitoring and probably without the right rescue equipment. Is a setting that I would never attempt anesthesia.
Could you anesthetize yourself?
I could do it once.
I know I could.
You could do it once, you said?
I wouldn't. Yeah, I could do it once. I wouldn't want to take the chance. If I stopped breathing, there'd be no one there to give me oxygen or to breathe for me.
But you've never had like a hard night out on the gear and thought, I'm never getting to sleep. And then you sort of looked over at your little bag.
Little bag.
No, but there was a time in Mexico the next morning when I went and got a bunch of bags of water, fluid, saline, and hooked them up to my buddies and I, and gave us some IVs. Now they have these IV bars, so
I'm a big fan.
That was an idea I had too.
I'm a big fan of the IV bars. I several times I've been. I have had a cold or something like that and fell under the weather and had to get up on stage. And I remember in the room and Colonel Tom Parker came in and said, "Get that boy on stage." And I got the IV in and I've done it. I've spruced up for a bit. They just pump you, and then your piss is fluorescent.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yep. Yep.
Just jumping ahead because you mentioned propofol. So propofol and fentanyl are safe for surgery as long as they're like.
Oh yeah, we use them every day. So the answer is yes, we use them every day. They have things pop up in the media and the news, and people get worried. But propofol, I use it every day. Fentanyl, I use it every day. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know the right dose. You have to know how much to give, and it's perfectly safe.
Yeah, my mom used fentanyl for pain management. They had patches, when she was sick. So I know that.
Used correctly, it's safe.
It was a time release patch and stuff, so that was like
right. Yeah. We still use those time release patches.
Yeah. Who was Jon Snow? It was the man who invented the practical use for anesthesia. Who is Jon Snow? Yeah.
The dude who gave the chloroform to Queen Victoria.
Oh, his name was Jon Snow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was the Game of Thrones guy named after him? It feels a little bit too coincidental.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a coincidence. I don't know that.
No, but
he also happened to be what we call one of the first epidemiologists. He thought there were during certain plagues and during pandemics, he's like, there must be an invisible particle going around from person to person that we can't see that's transmitting this disease. And everyone's like, oh, you're full of it, Snow. But he was right. We have germs, bacteria, viruses, other things. He was one of the first people to call that and to try to minimize contact between people when they were sick.
That would have been the biggest conspiracy theory of its day.
Oh, yeah.
How are we sick? There's things in the air that fly through the air.
I mean, look at the response to COVID.
And then they get into your mouth.
Happened again.
And then that makes you sick. Don't come near me. There's air things.
Yeah.
And they'd say,
there are things, yeah.
They'd say, you know nothing, Jon Snow. All right, thank you, guys. I'll see you next week. All right. Why don't we use general anesthesia for deliveries anymore? Is it not good for the baby?
It's not good for the baby. That's not good for the baby. It makes them can affect their breathing. It can affect how vigorous they are when they're delivered. And it's honestly, it's not fun for the mother. The mother wants to be there for the birth.
No, not
Usually.
my
It wouldn't
experience.
have been.
Both the women I had babies with would have been happy if I just brought it home 17 years later.
All right, now is the time of our show called Dinner Party Facts. We ask our guests to give us some sort of fact, interesting or obscure, that our audience can use to impress people about the subject. What do you got for us?
All right. So one of the side effects of anesthesia that we try to avoid, but it still happens occasionally, is people who have general anesthesia can have an upset stomach, get sick, throw up. We call it nausea and vomiting. And the people who are at risk for that are young women who have a history of motion sickness and who are non-smokers. So you can say that smoking cigarettes, the only medical thing it does for you is reduces the incidence of post-op nausea and vomiting after you've had anesthesia.
And makes you look cool.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
All right.
But I don't recommend people take up smoking just for that. We have medicines for it.
I forgot to ask you this too. I think you told us, Kelly, an answer. Somebody told me that redheaded people need more anesthesia, but you said that.
Yes,
No, they need
that
more.
is true.
They need more sleep.
That is true. My oldest son was a redhead, and I looked up the studies. It is true that you need more anesthesia, but the amount is very small. So we call it clinically significant, but not. Statistically significant, but not clinically significant. Meaning, if it pans out in studies, but it's not true in real life. Like basically we give redheads the same amount of anesthesia that we give non-redheads. But it is true. You can say that as a fact.
Did you see that other thing I said about Andre the Giant, how they couldn't pick how much anesthesia? Have you ever had that issue with someone who's so giant that you're just sort of going, what the fuck do I do with this cunt?
No, but people who use a lot of recreational drugs or drink a lot of alcohol definitely have more tolerance for anesthesia. I remember there was this...
I kept on waking up the whole time.
When I was in Baltimore, one of these Baltimore junkies came in for surgery, and he's like, no, man, you got to put me to sleep. You got to put me to sleep. I'm like, just hold still. We'll give you some local. It'll be fine. He's like, no, you got to put me to sleep. I'm like, look, you hold still. I will make you as high as you've ever been. And I pushed like a huge amount of drugs in this guy, fentanyl. And he's like, oh, that's good, but it's not as good as my first high.
Sounds like an episode of The Wire.
Not as good as his first one.
All right, Dr. Chris Lancaster, thank you again for being here with us today. That was very interesting.
Thank you, Dr. Chris. I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever at a party and someone comes up to you and then goes, I'm eating because I have surgery tomorrow, you go, oh, I don't know about that. And then walk away and then just pray for them.
Great.
Good night, Australia.